Hey everyone, it's Julian, and today we have a fun one. We finally have gotten the Forest Legendary. We are, of course, getting two this set, so we're probably getting the other one in a couple hours, but I am trying to record this video early because tomorrow the actual set will come out. I will be doing a stream when the portal is live, and we'll be doing another fun card review. This time I'm going to try to start earlier so that we don't go into the release time, right? Because last time we were still reviewing like 2 hours after the update had come out. So we're going to try to start a little bit earlier, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But we do have two legendaries missing right now. It's Gilnelis and Exudia, and those will probably be coming in a couple hours. But tomorrow there's a couple stuff I need to do. There's going to be a very fun video that I'm going to throw up tomorrow where I'm going to be re-reviewing my Set 2 review. My friend put together a really nice spreadsheet that we're going to go over with all of my ratings and stuff and see how wrong I was and maybe how right I was about some things too. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to do a video on that tomorrow. And of course, if the two cards are impactful, we might do a quick video in the morning. But then we're going to get to that stream when the portal drops. So stay tuned for all of that. If you're excited for that, please leave a like and subscribe. That would really help me out. And let's get into the video. So first we have our first Forest Legendary, Cruel or Crule, Heir to Unkilling. She is a 4-drop 1/3 ambush. Fanfare, give all enemy followers on the field -2 health. And then once on each of your turns, when an enemy follower is given minus defense on the field, restore 1 defense to your leader. Then on Super Evolve, she's going to give you a crest, and the crest is countdown 2. Whenever an allied follower enters the field, give it -1/-1. I'm covering the -1 health part, but so that is the whole card. So how good is this? This is a very interesting card. I think the best application for this is an early game board clear, right? Dealing basically 2 AoE is pretty nice, and you get a body that's going to give you a little bit of value over the game, and it's ambush, so you can keep it ambushed and make it hard to interact with. Of course, we are getting a lot of random effects right now in this new set, so it is going to be hard to keep alive. And all of the heirs have synergized fairly well with the old omens, so look out for what Exudia does, because he might really help this card shine. I think the text that's interesting to me is the once on each of your turns when an enemy follower is given minus defense, restore 1 defense to your leader, because obviously when you do this, they have a full board, you're still only going to get 1 heal, but maybe Exudia gives you some kind of crest that gives something minus, is it minus D? Okay, it is specifically minus defense, so minus health. So maybe Exudia does like -1 health every turn or something like that. I don't know, but overall pretty interesting card. Now the issue is Forest is so hard into Roach right now. They don't have a ton of amazing cards that would let them pivot to a different archetype. So all of these cards are going to have to be very strong and very impactful all at once for Forest to want to go over to not Roach, right? So that's going to be something that's going to be difficult to do, I think, given what we've seen with this card and the other Forest card, the 9-drop, right? But if we get some control Force, that might be fun. But again, all of these decks that are going into a control archetype are going to just suffer at the hands of this hybrid rune deck that's been very, very strong in for the past like 2 months, right? So interesting card. This card makes me more excited to see what Exudia is going to do. Next, we have a gold that is really exciting to me. You guys know Lashetta was one of my favorite cards from this reveal, right? And from this initial reveal of this expansion. And I said, like, hey, she's a really cool card. She's going to fit into Puppets pretty well and be sort of like a, not alternate win condition, but just a value engine, right? With these eggs or these New Testaments or New Revelations or whatever they're called. But now we can get them really early. This makes Lashetta really, really strong and kind of changes the outlook of this whole Lashetta like sub-archetype. So 2-drop Devastating Soprano. Select an allied card on the field and destroy it. summon a white Psalm New Revelation. So, of course, that is the white egg that heals you, and that card is the one where when it dies, you summon a black one, and then when the black one dies, you summon a white one, and the black one deals 1 damage to the enemy leader. So, my idea was you Evo Lashen on 4, right, and you keep getting these incremental value, effects, right, the heal and the damage, and then it'll make it easier for the end game to be able to, like, push lethal with Orcus, or the new 3-drop 2/4 that evos and blows your own field up and deals damage equal to the amount of followers and stuff you blown up, right? So, or cards you've blown up on your side of the field. So, really like that this is going to be able to get these testaments down early. I think that's really, really strong for this archetype, this sub-archetype. But I do want to stress that I think this is going to be very, like, sub-archetype, lower third type thing for a Puppets deck. I don't think this, like, these cards we've seen so far are good enough to carry their own deck. But we have a lot of really good, efficient Puppet cards right now that I think this will easily be able to slot in and give Puppets another value engine that they were kind of missing. And Puppets was sort of just like this worse version of, like, mid-range Abyss and mid-range Sword. But now I think we're going to be able to have something unique, and we're going to have access to a lot of tools like that 6-drop that's going to be able to blow boards up, and of course that 3-drop that's going to be able to get us a lot of damage in that super evolved, like, turn 6 to 7, 8 range, right? So really, really, really like this card, and I think it's very, very strong. Next we have 3 low rarity cards. This is Thunder Rage. These are all dragon. Thunder Rage, 3 play point, bronze. Deal 5 damage to all followers with the highest defense. Then, if Overflow is active for you, deal 3 damage to all leaders with the highest defense, tied if both. So, or tied if, or both if tied. So, like, if you both have 18 health, you're going to deal 3 damage. This is a really interesting card. I think it's funny because this card is almost worse in Overflow, because hopefully most of the time you're going to be hitting yourself. I mean, you don't want to be hitting yourself, but hopefully you are higher health, because that means you're kind of winning, right? In a general sense. That doesn't always apply, but usually that's how that works. But the deal 5 damage to all followers at the highest defense is a really nice text, because if you are playing against, say, a Luminous Mage, right? If you're somehow able to kill that Luminous Mage before you play this, you can play this and then deal 5 damage to all of the 2 health wards, right? So there's going to be some board states where this is going to do a lot of AoE damage, which I think is really cool. And 5 damage is a lot for a 3-drop spell. I think this is a really strong card in a Ramp Dragon deck that I do think will be the premier Dragon deck with this new Gamu and all these new Disdain cards, right? And there's a couple new Disdain cards we have to talk about here next. So overall, Thunder Rage I think is pretty good. Then we have Ocean Rider, 3 play point 1/1, summon or on play summon a Megalorca. Of course, those are the 2/2 rushes. And then if Overflow is active for you, summon 2 instead. And then whenever an allied marine follower, those are the Megalorcas or the Odahime's bodyguard, right? Enter the field, give it ward. So this is a really pretty nuts card for this Ramp Dragon with the Neptune, right? It's going to be a 3-drop 1/1 that summons a 2/2 rush ward. And then if you're able to set this up before Neptune, all of the stuff that Neptune summons is going to get ward. Also, you can curve this curve Merman from this, right? What's his name? Something Merman? The 5-drop that summons a bunch of the Megalorcas, right? And get a bunch of wards. I think this is a insanely strong card. And really, like, think about how good Luminous Lance Trooper is, right, for Sword. I think this is a little, obviously it's weaker, but Dragon is not the class that does that type of stuff. So having a card like this for a class that doesn't have a lot of sort of early game rushes is really, really nice. I think this card is insane and is really going to help Ramp Dragon lock down that early game. Of course, it does come out the same turn that you'd theoretically want to be ramping, but there are some matchups, especially now that ramp costs 3, that you can't just go, ramp on 3 and feel good about it, right? So, really like this card. Then we have one of the most interesting cards revealed so far, the Affirmer of Disdain, 2-drop 2/2. When this follower takes damage but isn't destroyed on your turn, draw a Dragoncraft follower. Of course, this is basically a reprint of the iconic dragon card, Servant of Disdain. Servant of Disdain was a 2-drop 2/2. When that follower took damage during your turn but wasn't destroyed, you drew a card. So this is a little bit better because you're going to be able to draw specific cards if you construct your deck in a specific way, right? But overall, this card is just, we needed this type of stuff. And it makes me hopeful that we will get basically reprints of some of those old cards. A lot of these, the Servants and Disciples from SV1 were really strong and were more impactful in the archetypes and in the classes than the legendaries, right? That's what I've been talking about with Gamu from set 1, or from SV1, right? Is herself, she was a good card, but her support was insane, and that's why the second version didn't take off as much, is because the support wasn't there. The original version of Gamu had Disciple of Disdain, Servant of Disdain, and Disdainful Rending, 3 of the best cards in the meta at the time, and really locked down the early game. And I think you're going to be able to do something very similar with this new Disdain archetype. And I do say Disdain archetype, but I think it is just going to be mostly a ramp deck. One interesting thing is this thing does not live on if you play the 9-drop, right? If this thing is alive and you play the 9-drop, he does 2 to everything, which is very funny. I do think that 9-drop is like gonna be on the weaker side. I think there's more impactful things to be playing, and in my head, I think you're just gonna be playing this like Neptune ramp dragon with the Disdain engine of this, whatever the new Disdainful Rending is called for the early game. Hopefully we get a Disciple of Disdain where it's a 1-drop 1/1 that deals 1 damage to something and we draw a card. And then we have some of that other mid-game stuff. If we get like some sort of Serpent Drake, something like that, some sort of board fill for hitting our own things, stuff like that, turn it into sort of a mid-range ramp deck. But those are the cards. Also, this art is so much worse than the original. The original was a cool old guy. Now it's some like, I don't know. I really do not like the art of this. Hopefully they let us like use the old art or something. There's been a couple cards like the Bellringer and the Roach that have given, we've gotten a alt art of the original, right? But I don't know how likely that is. But all right, that is the video. Thank you guys for watching. Of course, in about 2 hours, there's going to be more cards, but I will be asleep. If they are really impactful and need to be talked about before I do my card review later that day tomorrow, or in probably like 18 hours, 16 hours, I will throw up a quick video on the channel. But tomorrow we are also going to be doing a video about re-reviewing my set 2, so that'll be a lot of fun. And yeah, make sure to check all that out, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.